Good morning and welcome to the 2019 Atlanta Quilt Festival. I am excited to be here this morning with Aisha Lumumba, who is a longtime friend and participant in the Quilt Festival. Welcome, Aisha.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a quilter. I call myself a fiber artist, author, and grandmother.
Wonderful. And aren't you a native Atlantan?
I'm really from McDonough, Georgia.
Okay, all right, because you don't find too many of those.
No, you don't.
Wonderful. Well, tell us a little bit. I mean, you're known for a variety of creative arts, but let's start off with quilts. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your quilting journey?
I started quilting when I was in high school. Well, at least I thought I was going to start. And I started a little quilt, and then I realized quilting was a really slow process. And at that time, I liked fast.
Right. So you were a teenager.
Yes, I was a teenager. So I put it down, and then late in my 20s, I picked it back up. And at that point, I think the quilting industry was starting to take a turn. And so it was much more exciting. There were books on quilts, there were magazines, and so I really just started getting into it. And then one day, years go by, I see this art quilt. And I said, I can do that. It was landscape.
Okay.
And I said, that's just squares and triangles. Well, it was a cityscape, squares and triangles building. And so that's where I started. And then after that, I just went to where I am now.
You've made just some outstanding things. You've taught us before, the gumbo ladies, and then your portrait quilts, particularly the one of Aretha Franklin, is just absolutely stunning.
Thank you. That one has definitely been the biggest one. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so what kinds of places, where have you exhibited your quilts?
Oh my, I have exhibited so many places, but I do the quilt show every year in Charleston, North Charleston. And it travels all over the state of South Carolina.
Okay.
And last year it went to a couple of places in Florida. I've exhibited in Florida, in Kansas, in California, Philadelphia, Westchester, Pennsylvania. I've been
everywhere.
If they say, would you come? I'm like, yes, my bag's packed already. I really like traveling and going places and seeing the whole United States and some of the world.
Wonderful. Well, on top of those creative pursuits, you are also a published author. And I'd like to take a look, if you could tell us a little bit how you got to that point, and what did you bring for us to see today?
You know, when I was choosing between writing and quilting, writing was my first choice, but it was slower than quilting.
And you liked fast.
I liked fast, so I chose quilting. But then when I found that I could marry the two, that's when I started doing the books. I used to work at a book distributorship, so I got to know a lot of books and see a lot of books and how people publish books.
And even the industry.
And how the industry works. So then I finally said, oh, I think I can. So when I started doing quilt books, that was when I found that I could do them both. So that's...
Oh, that's great. Well, can we take a look at what you brought today?
I brought this one, inspired by her.
Here, let me hold it. I'm going to hold it up so you can tell us about it.
That one, I realized as I was growing up, there were women in my life that really helped nurture me. So I put this book together to honor those women. So I dedicated it to them. And then the whole book is just quilts that I have done with pictures of women.
Wonderful. Absolutely beautiful. So this is inspired by her, celebrating femininity through art quilts. Beautiful. Okay,
Thank you.
what do we have next? I'll hold it for
This is
you.
my coming home book, and earlier, I don't know which year I'm in. Earlier this year, I had an exhibit in my hometown, McDonough, well, in Henry County, and so this book is the gallery book.
And here's a quilt that looks like this is you, Aisha, working on a quilt. I love it. Look at that.
That's one of mine. So, yeah.
And I believe, isn't the Aretha Franklin?
This is the catalog. Aretha Franklin
is in here
somewhere.
We'll just, and we mentioned earlier your gumbo ladies class, those pictures are in this book. So it is just, let's see. Oops. Here's the Aretha Franklin quilt that we talked about a little bit earlier. So this is Coming Home, an art quilt exhibition that Aisha did and actually was presented in McDonough earlier this year.
And this is the catalog of the show.
Okay, let's see.
Next, this is I Am a New Vegan, and it's a
Look
cookbook.
at this. Wow.
Yeah, that one was inspired. So many people, I've been a vegan for a long time, and so many people were calling and asking for recipes, and I said, okay, let me do a book that has simple recipes in it.
This is actually, so this is certainly one of the things I'm going to be buying today because as we learn more, we know that having a plant-based diet is probably better for us. Some of us still like our food that had parents, but we're gonna try to do better. And then finally,
this is Scrap Easy, and this one has just been a surprise phenomenon. People from everywhere have bought this book and have been making that quilt. I've done a lot of workshops teaching it, but I've been and I tell people it's a guide for you to be creative, and people have used it and done awesome creative things.
A guide, but you can make it your own.
Make it your own. And we have a Facebook page for Scrappy Lady, and people post their pictures.
Here are some different ones that have been done on the same theme. How beautiful. So Scrap Easy, building a collage quilt. Well, this is great. Well, Aisha, we appreciate you coming to talk to us today. Thank you so much.
And I'm also doing a workshop for the festival.
Yes. Oh, yes. You're teaching a class on the 24th, right?
On the 24th.
And what's the name of your class?
How to publish your own book.
Okay, great.
At the Hammond's house.
Wonderful. So for our enterprising quilters, this is a great class to attend so you can compile your own works.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Rob.
And thank you for, we are signing off from the 2019 Atlanta Quilt Festival. Bye-bye.